Hi, AP Seminar students. I hope your AP mock exams are going well this week. Instead of doing a formal lesson with people that would be in class or wouldn't be in class, I decided to make a video lesson that any of you can watch so that you can still keep up with drafting your IWA. Throughout this video, I'm going to be really focusing on how to move from outline into your context paragraph. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of that. A couple of important announcements before you get started into this video. First things first, a full rough draft of your paper is going to be due on the 21st, which is next Monday. That's so we can do editing and revision activities all next week with peers, self-edits, and comparing to other examples. A final draft, as you've known, is due right before we go on spring break on March 25th. We're going to submit all of these before our May 2nd submission due date. Now, where you want to start drafting your IWA is going to be over in Google Classroom under PT2. You see all the directions that are posted from College Board. And down here, what I've attached is the rubric for your IWA, the APA 7 formatted research paper, which is where you're actually going to start drafting. And then lastly, I've attached our notes on the stimulus materials because, as you know, you want to incorporate those at least one time within your paper. Now, I am going to qualify this video with one thing. Before you can move into drafting, as many of you know, you need an outline. If you have not outlined, I would stop. I would not even attempt drafting yet, and I would go back and ensure that I complete the outlining assignment first. So I'm going to start there. Please make sure you do an outline first. That is also a quiz grade that I will take a look at and check in with you about throughout the week as I see you in class this week. But let's get to the focus of this video, which is going to be around context paragraphs for today. So quick reminder here for all of you that our context paragraphs kind of have that backward triangle or that inverted triangle shape. And what I mean by that is they start broad, right? You can kind of see the triangle's base is very broad down here, and they get more narrowly focused as we work through our context. So we want to start broad, giving overall facts and figures, and then we want to start to narrow into what we're talking about and what we've done research on. So a couple of things that we want to ensure that we have in our context paragraph is if we have to introduce stuff, we want to start there, right? Openings to context paragraphs can include definitions, can include a key figure, a statistic that can really help to show your reader and your audience what your problem's all about. So within the first couple of sentences, you want to start to introduce what your topic is, and you want to start to emphasize the importance. And as we talked about last week, we want to talk about scope. So how large is the problem? Severity. How severe is the problem? Who's affected by the problem and impacted by the problem? And that's a great opportunity for you to cite some research or cite some of your sources to show the effect or show the impact. So within the first three sentences, we want to introduce our topic broadly and then make sure that we are showing the importance, severity, scope, and impact if possible. Now, after we've done that, for many of our topics, we want to start to reveal the complications of our topic, right? What is the current debate around our topic? Should we have school uniforms? Should we not have school uniforms? While some think this, others think this, right? It's not black and white. And so showing our reader that is going to be very important as well. It's also a great opportunity for you to introduce your lenses that you're going to focus on or the perspectives that you might want to focus on throughout the paper. Towards the end of our introduction, we really want to ensure that we are stating either our topic or our research question, and then answering that question with our thesis statement as we did when we outlined last week. So last couple of sentences, you want to say something along the lines of, such information from my context, right, the things you presented within your context, begs the question, and then you state your research question. Then following your research question, you want to have your thesis statement, which is argumentative. As you know, the IWA is an argumentative paper, and so you want to be taking a stance. You want to be arguing in favor of something. You want to argue what your stance is or what your conclusion is that you're drawing from your research, right? You want to state clearly what it is you hope to prove throughout the paper. All of your body paragraphs and claims should be helping you to prove that throughout your paper, which is why you completed an outline. Now, important things that you want to do again within context, hook your reader in, citing 2 to 4 sources to show the problem. And these are things that you can do to show, right? Who's affected? What are the effects of the problem? Causes of the problem? What's the root of the problem? Scope and severity, like you just discussed. You want to see if you can cite the stimulus materials if possible. You know that that is the easiest spot that you can cite the stimulus materials in. And you really want to emphasize your problem, pose your research question, and state your thesis. If you can accomplish all of that in your context paragraph, you'll have done an effective job of contextualizing. Now, when it comes to context paragraphs, again, I think looking at examples are really helpful. And so I'm going to attach this on Classroom with a video. It has 3 example papers that scored highly from the College Board's sample papers. The first one we've already looked at, the call for night shift regulation. But the other 2 are also effective at introducing topics. For example, here we'll look at the gene editing one just to get an idea of what the reader's doing and why they're effective at contextualizing. And then I want you to go do it yourself. Okay, so starting from the top here, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, introducing the credibility of their first source, approximately 46.6 million adults in the United States currently live with a mental illness. That is almost a fifth of the country's population. So they're giving us context to show the severity of the problem and the scope. Wow, 46.6 million people is a lot. That is 1 in 5 people, right? That really places those numbers into context with how large the problem is, and it makes us care. Within the first sentence, they've already cited a source, and they've included some statistics to show the problem. Good job opening here. Following the increased prominence of mental health issues in modern society has come more research on the origins of these disorders. So, giving us some more context, right? We're learning more about mental health. We're starting to learn about the origins. They're explaining to us a little bit more of the recent findings. In addition to environmental factors, genetics have also been found to play a role in people's likelihood of developing mental illnesses. So they're looking at nature versus nurture. They're looking at the genes and how they influence mental health. So they're starting to get more narrowly focused. They first were looking at mental health. Now they're looking at genetic causes of mental health issues with that inverted triangle shape that we were talking about earlier. Now, as we continue here, for example, the serotonin transporter gene 5-HTT-LPR has been discovered to have a relationship with depression and overall life satisfaction, as stated by Jean-Emmanuel Deneve, a professor of economics at the London School of Economics, and his colleagues at Harvard Medical School and the University of California's Department of Medicine in Warwick Business Schools, respectively. So there's a lot of credibility of those sources there. That's also one of the stimulus materials from a previous year. So that is them using the stimulus materials within their introduction. You can see they've directly cited and paraphrased almost a key finding of one of the stimulus materials, which was this gene that they found that has connection to people's happiness and depression levels. And so that's how they've incorporated it here. Now, towards the end of this introduction, we know we should be either stating our topic or research question and presenting our thesis statement. Gene testing and modifying technology has swiftly developed alongside this research. Most notably, a new tool called CRISPR/Cas9 has recently emerged. Jana Murovec of the biotechnical facility at the University of Ljubljana and her colleague in the Department of Genetics at the Development of Cell Biology at Iowa State University, so more credibility lead-ins, remember you're doing those along the way here, report that this new genetic editor is much more precise than any previous available technology and has opened new doors for the possibility of DNA modification in a variety of organisms. So they haven't directly stated their thesis here yet, but they are presenting the sides of the debate. If we were to see their next paragraph, we know that they'd be taking a stance against genetic editing, and you can kind of see that by their title, right? Why genetic editing is unfeasible. So this introduction actually doesn't necessarily outright state a research question or thesis, but is still argumentative in nature. Look to the other examples as well as you are working on the ending of your introduction, and that should help to support you as you draft. Now, if you're looking for a word count on introduction, this one is around 220 words. This example here is around 292 words. And then lastly, the example that we looked at together in class is around 267 words. So anywhere between like 200 and like 350 words would be what I would shoot for our introduction paragraphs. Now, last thing I want to mention, as you chunk up and break up your drafting, body paragraph or context paragraphs, I would say have those done by midweek this week. So like the 17th. Body paragraphs 1 and 2, you probably want those things done by like the 18th or the 19th. As you're working on into Friday and Saturday this weekend, maybe you get body paragraphs 3 and 4 done. And then Sunday, you work through body paragraphs 5 and 6, if you have that many, and your conclusion, which is going to be on the 20th here, just to break up the assignment a little bit here. So that's what I would do if I was drafting. If you want to sit down and get more done, obviously you can do that. But that's how I would pace myself with this. What I'm looking for is context paragraph drafted by the 17th, which is this Thursday. If you fall behind, please watch my video, get yourself caught back up. But your goal is to have a completed draft again by the 21st, which is next Monday. Please reach out if you have any questions at all for me, and I can support you, or come check in with me throughout the day if you're taking mock exams whenever you're finished up, and we can meet about your paper. Good luck, everyone, and I will see you in class at some point this week.